Hey, and welcome to another edition of the Sharing Club podcast with me, Danielle.
And me, Natalie. Hi.
Hi. So this week we're going to be talking about a bit of a taboo subject, isn't it? It doesn't get mentioned that often. Domestic abuse, recognizing the signs, the symptoms, if any, you think somebody might be going through it, and what we can do to help them.
Yeah, they're not. A lot of people will not openly say that they're being abused in any way, because obviously it is a bit of a hard subject to bring up, but you just need to know the signs.
Yeah, things, the signs of it, and then we can discuss the ways that we can help. And you know people, haven't you, that have...
Yeah. I've had friends that have been in domestic abusive relationships. Not all physical, some mental as well, which can be just as bad. I've had an experience myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, people often think that it's all physical, so everybody will be bruised and battered. But then sometimes the mental abuse can be as bad.
Not just like what they're saying, the mental, the verbal, but it's also like the gaslighting and the manipulation, isn't it? Because I think in its own way, really manipulative people can make you feel horrific.
Yeah, and make out that everything's you and everything's your fault, and
yeah,
question yourself, question your everyday, just normal things where you're questioning yourself, like, did I do that? It's not, it's a horrible thing to go through.
Or am I the reason that you are such a shit at times, and you go off and you drink or you do other things, well, it's your fault because you're not here or whatever, and I can't, you've not been there.
Yeah, you nag so much that makes me drink, or that makes me take drugs, or you make me lose my temper.
Yeah, it's definite manipulation and gaslighting, isn't it? And I think in some ways it can be just as bad, if not worse, than the physical abuse, because I think people who suffer the mental don't feel like they can talk to anybody because they are made to feel like it's their fault.
I think as well, you don't always feel that you're being abused.
Correct. You don't even realise it.
Because I know I had a partner years and years ago, where it's only now where I realise in them first few years I was probably being mentally abused, but because he didn't physically hurt me, and it was so, just little things.
Off the cuff remarks.
Yeah, and, questions about why you'd wear a certain dress, like, who are you trying to impress? Why are you looking at him? You've done that because of this. You've gone there because he's there. And it's like, but then you start, right, well, I better not wear that dress anymore because it'll set him off, or I'm just not going to go out because I can't be bothered with I spent ages not going anywhere because of that, because you just can't be doing with the aftermath of it. And then it ended up where you take them with to prove the fact that you're not doing anything wrong, but they still start when you were there anyway and embarrass you in front of everyone.
Not good, is it?
No.
So with that in mind, we're going to go through a few of the signs.
Yeah.
And see, how we can spot them. So the first one obviously is all about physical abuse, goes without saying, unexplained injuries, frequent bruises, cuts, with vague explanations. I suppose the most common ones are walks into a door, falling downstairs.
Yeah.
Just be aware, of injuries if they don't seem normal, especially if a person isn't suddenly become clumsy overnight. I mean, there can be medical conditions that can cause it. Goes without saying,
don't pass them off either, like I did.
Yeah, don't pass them off as medical conditions, but at the same time, if you're looking out for people, don't jump to conclusions either. Try and be objective.
Yeah.
I think it's a good one. The next one is isolation. If you've got a friend who's normally, the centre of the social circle, and they start withdrawing from friends and family and not doing anything, I would assume alarm bells should be ringing.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a number of reasons, couldn't it? But this could be one of them. So
yeah,
it's always worse.
Yeah, it's don't just dismiss it. Maybe they've got like mental health issues. Just think about other reasons for it as well.
Yeah,
just be vigilant. Changes in behaviour, so sudden changes in mood, anxiety, depression, low self-esteem. Again, if that's not something that they've ever had before, just look at it, question maybe why they're feeling like that. And obviously, again, it can be down to lots of other reasons, maybe a change in job or changing circumstance, financially, lots of things can cause those issues. But also remember that abuse can cause them as well.
Yeah, weight loss and weight gain as well. You can kind of...
Yeah.
I knew somebody who lost a lot of weight initially, and that was because she was going through in an abusive relationship, and he wasn't actually commenting on her weight, but she just felt physically sick.
It's not good, is it? Controlling and monitoring behaviour. So their access is limited to money or transport, and their partners are actively and constantly monitoring where they are, what they're up to, phoning them, messaging them when they're out and about.
Yeah, I've had that.
That would just.
I've had that. I think I've mentioned it on here when I had to take pictures of a clock on the wall and who was there, and then I'd get accused that he could see somebody that wasn't there in the mirror. And I'm like, that's such body. No, it's not. And then you get into this whole slanging match. And then I remember once my dog had noticed like a flea on my dog. It was a dog that's no longer here. But I'd noticed a flea on the dog, so I was trying to treat the dog. So I wasn't answering the message straight away. It took me like a few hours actually to sort the dog, dry the dog. And by the time I came back to this like barrage of abuse about where I'd gone and who with, when really I was just sorting my dog out.
I don't know what goes through people's minds.
No.
It's scary, isn't it? Fearfulness, appearing of afraid of their partner or anxious about going home, or if they're out with them, they're a bit more timid and not as talkative, just seem a bit scared.
Yeah. I think one of my friends was like that. Like you'd go out and she didn't want to go back. It's like, right, what are we doing now? Are we going back to yours, or should we just have one more drink, or should we? You like bringing the night to an end. And I think that was probably one of the first things that she did that I didn't pick up on. And I just thought, what a party animal.
But it's true, because you get everything we've discussed, you can attribute every sign and symptom that we've talked about to something else.
Yeah.
It's so easy to write it off as it's a mental health issue, or it's a, they've had an accident, they've fallen down somewhere, or like you say, they're a party animal, they just like to be out and about. Some people just don't like being at home, do they?
No.
They're all so easy to write them off, but I think it's about looking at those symptoms and monitoring them and seeing if it keeps going on.
Yeah.
And, looking at the bigger picture. But I suppose it's a very hard subject to broach, isn't it, with somebody as well?
It
because
is,
they might not want to say anything.
And not just that, like if they're not in an abusive relationship, the last thing you want to do is start accusing their partner of, or whoever it is, of, because you get people I've known somebody who's older who lives with parents where they've been a bit abusive as well.
Yeah.
And it's not a child, I'm talking about an adult.
Well, that's true, isn't it? I mean, the general consensus is when you think about domestic abuse, you think of it as being like people in a relationship, no matter what type of relationship, whether it's man, woman, man on man, whatever, gay, whatever, you always think that's how it is, but that's not true. It can be, parents with kids, whether they're younger or older, even teenagers, kids that are abusing the parents,
brothers and sisters abusing
one
another.
it can happen in so many different situations. So I think it's an awareness that it's not just in between husband and wife or whatever, and to keep an eye out for everything. Next one is excusing your partner's behavior, or anybody who's doing it for that matter, not just partner, after what we've just said. Oh well, they behave like this because, and justifying the actions, and if you know about it and the reason why they're doing it, why they're being manipulative or whatever, which is what we came back to before, really, isn't it? About, well, maybe it's my fault, or just.
Well, that was a classic line for me, like all the time, like just made excuses for the person all the time. Well, both people. My mum and dad used to get so angry, like, stop making excuses for him. It'd be like, yeah, but this, but yeah, oh, but I've done this. No. And Lara as well, like with the other one, like, just stop saying it's your fault. You've not done anything wrong. But that's so hard when you.
Also, I think even people who like people who abusers who are like domestic abuse, if it's physical violence, even they mentally get to you and make you feel like they're hitting you because it's your fault, you've done something wrong.
You deserved it.
Yeah, you deserve for me to knock you out or break a rib or whatever. It's your fault, I've done this.
Yeah, you make me so angry.
Yeah.
The classic one off my one was, you know all the right buttons to press.
Oh,
I wouldn't mind them not even said anything at the time.
Well, that's it, isn't it? And then
going through your phone.
Yeah. And then you find yourself justifying it.
Yeah.
Why they're like, oh, well, it's my fault because I said this or I did this, so they acted like that.
Yeah.
No, it isn't you. The next one is changes in appearance. So have they gone from somebody wearing lovely form-fitting clothes, you know, highlight the figure, whatever, to great big baggy t-shirts and coats that look like they're wrapped in a duvet all the time because they want to hide injuries
Yeah.
or weight loss.
Wearing a polo neck to cover up, like it sounds awful this, but like strangulation marks around the neck.
Yeah.
That's one I've seen before.
Or gloves to hide them on, you know, fingerprints on wrists when you're being.
And then using them things like if you do happen to spot one telling you like I burnt my neck on my straighteners. That was, and it didn't even look like straighteners.
Or iron marks.
Yeah.
Caught myself ironing on the oven.
Yeah. Very sad.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. It's really sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
this can be a woman doing this to a man as well. Let's just make sure that, you know.
Or a mother to a son.
Yeah, I don't want to say like we're.
No, anybody, you know, there's plenty of abusive relationships where it's the women committing the abuse. And I actually think that is even more taboo than the other way around.
I do.
And it really needs to be acknowledged, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of men that are probably suffering out there.
It was a terrible, I don't know what it was called, but it was a terrible documentary a while back about that, where the man was being abused by his wife and he put all hidden cameras in the house to capture in action. She was horrific what she was doing to that man. Like, awful.
At least he found the courage to film it.
Yeah, and she was playing the victim, and it was her doing the abusing. Horrible. In front of the kids as well.
And also, it's not just like domestic relationships, but it's also when you hear about like people who move to the country or people maybe with mental health issues where families take them on as help and abusing people who you know, working for and take advantage.
Yeah.
That's
people in care homes when they put the cat, it's absolutely awful. Did you see that one when he was like, the woman was like dragging her about in the bed?
Yeah.
Like, and then I actually saw one once when I was in hospital where this woman who was nil by mouth, she had dementia and she couldn't swallow. They used to have this beaker with like soft stuff in and try and get that down her. And this woman came, it was a nurse, and there was like a proper meal, like I don't know what it was, say it was steak and chips. And she's trying to force feed her the steak. She can't swallow properly. And I was watching and I was ill and I ended up opening my mouth. Then she wasn't very nice to me then. But I could handle it. I thought, well, bring it on. I was like, she can't eat that. But then you think she was doing that in front of everyone.
Yeah, that's
it made me scared to think what she'd be like behind closed doors, you know, if no one was watching it.
If someone's got no fear in hiding what they're doing, like what does that?
Last time my dad was in hospital, the man in my next bed, the nurse was abusing him so bad. She was screaming at him. I mean, he was being abusive as well, but he wasn't well.
But that's it. I think when a patient's being abusive, especially if they're older, that can be signs of dementia and stuff, and they're not aware of it. That's not their fault. So as a medical professional, you should know if someone's being abusive because of a medical illness as opposed to the just nasty people.
Yeah. And she was like, "You're not getting out this bed." And then she started moving the bed up with him in it and like moving it up and down, so he was going like this on purpose. And my dad reported her. My dad was a patient, but my dad reported her. She got moved off the ward.
To go and do it on another.
We started telling us stuff in confidentiality stuff as well about him, about why he was in there and not to feel sorry for him, which is just disgusting.
Regardless of whether you shouldn't feel sorry for him or not, she's broken confidentiality and GDPR stuff. But that you don't treat people like that.
No.
Regardless, two wrongs don't make a right.
It's awful.
It really
horrible
is.
what goes on.
Yeah. The next one is frequent absences. Making excuses when you don't turn up to work, or if you're a child to school, and you know, coming up with reasons for not turning up. Suddenly you go from always being there, present, 100% punctuality, to never there.
Yeah.
Which
we had when I worked in a school, we had a little boy that used to come in, and then he'd come in and he was, you know, dirty and whatever. This was years ago. And then one day he came in and somebody else brought him into school, and we found out that the parents had took the whole family to Euro Disney
and left him behind.
That's awful. Because he was hard work. He was a lovely little kid. And I remember thinking, I was quite young at the time, but I remember thinking, this kid's abused. You know, like you just
That is
get that.
abuse.
It was the whole thing of him, like his sister in a different year always looked immaculate, like lovely hair, and he always looked scruffy, and his shoes always looked like they needed to go in the bin. And do you know,
Do you remember when all those books started coming out years ago where they were telling the story of abuse, you know, kids, what is
No,
it, the boy, the lad whose mother abused him and
yeah,
stuff, like, you just think, how can you decide that you don't like that child? So
it's weird.
you other kids you love, but this one you've just taken a dislike
Yeah, you've
to.
got it
and
in for that kid.
Yeah, it's,
Horrible.
yeah, it's not nice, is it? So yeah, keeping that frequent absences if they've never happened is another one to
Yeah,
think about. And then the last one is verbal abuse. If they're out with the partner or whoever it is that's abusing them, if you hear them belittling them or threatening them or insulting them, you know, just maybe it's time to say something.
yeah, definitely. So yeah,
It's a hard thing
I'm
to
not
do
gonna
though,
go
isn't
into
it?
that one.
Approach. Yeah. And then obviously it's how we can help. So I think the first thing is you have to listen if they do open up and actually believe them and not be judgmental, because it must be so hard to come out and say, I am being abused.
Yeah, and I think one of the things which a lot of people are guilty of without meaning to, you know, be harmful is don't turn around and say, why would you stay? I'd never stay, because it's very, very different when you're in that situation. It's not always, you know, it's not always that easy to leave. There's steps that might need to, even if you've not got children involved, or you might not even live with them or be married to them or whatever, it can still be difficult to break that cycle. Your confidence has been knocked down so much as well.
But not only that, I was watching, I don't know if it was on Morning Live a while ago, it feeds into other things. If you're living with someone and you have a house together, then there's forms of financial abuse,
Yeah.
because you can't just pick yourself up and leave. You need money, and part of that abusive controlling behaviour can be they'll stop your access to your bank account, or
Yeah.
you know, there's other things at play that make it difficult to
Yeah.
leave. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
always
people feel they've got nowhere to go.
it's not always black and white. So definitely listen without judging or going, well, why haven't you left him? You're an idiot, because it doesn't work like that.
No.
Provide, give them, you know, do some research, provide information, find out resources, you know, hotlines, shelters, places they can go, you know, if you've got a spare room, maybe offer it to them.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself at risk though in the
No,
process.
don't do that. But yeah, if you can help in any way, then, you know, try and offer. If they're struggling for somewhere to go, then if you have got a spare room, then, you know, that can get them out in the initial while they sort themselves out.
Yeah, and then you can help them find resources to, you know, to do those next steps.
Yeah.
To get them to a better place. So just, you know, practical help's always a good thing, isn't it? Which comes on to the next one, really. Help them develop a plan for leaving safely if they haven't already left. You know, help them put the plans in place. You know, maybe that somewhere to stay, you can do it before they've left. They're opening up the talking. Let's get the plans in place so that they can leave.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not just going to happen overnight, is it?
No. And you can do that from a distance where they're not going to get caught either.
Yeah.
And make things harder for themselves. Respect their decisions. Understand leaving a relationship is complex and it's very personal, you know, and you shouldn't ask questions why, you should just respect it.
Yeah, it's difficult because even though you are being abused, you can still care or love that person, you know, so it's very, very difficult to break that, you know, to get away, because you might feel really deeply attached to that person even though they're doing what they're doing, and they also might have chipped away at your self-esteem, so you feel a bit lost.
Yeah, definitely. And the next one is encourage them to get professional help, whether that's contacting domestic abuse organisations, whether it's going to see a counsellor, whether it's going to talk to your GP who might put you in the right direction. Check out any old injuries that you've got and make sure you know that you're healthy and that there's no long-term damage or anything if it's physical, but get some professional help.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there'll be talk groups centered around domestic violence, won't
Definitely.
they, as well?
100%. I mean, the next one is offer practical support, but we've already said that's like assist with transport, housing, childcare, all little things that you can do during the day. There's kids, take them to school, you know.
Yeah.
Things you can do to just help them get back on the feet and make life a little bit easier. Definitely. Confidentiality. You know, keep what they're telling you private. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. And if they open up to you, they're trusting you. The last thing you want to do is break their trust, because that must have taken a lot for them to.
Yeah. And
Amazing.
also, if they're confiding in you, if you start telling other people, it, it can snowball and it can get quite nasty as well. And you don't want that getting back to the person that you're trying to get away from.
No, you don't want to put them even more at risk, or other people in your social circle at risk of him either. If it gets back to him, you don't know what people are capable of.
No.
So as much as you're protecting their confidentiality and their safety, it's about protecting your own.
Yeah, definitely.
Be patient around them. Healing and decision making takes time, and they might be talking about leaving for a long, long time before they actually do anything, and it's no good pushing them. You've got to let them do it in their own time and just be there for them and support them.
Yeah, and just keep reminding them that you are there for them, and when the time comes, you will support them in their transition away from whoever it is.
Yeah, and allow them that time to heal, to process it, and to come to terms with what's happened. And you might have been in that relationship or in that environment for years.
Yeah.
A long time since they've known anything different.
And it's very, very, very hard to break the cycle.
Definitely. Recognize emergency situations. So if someone appears to be in immediate danger, get help straight away. Encourage them to call 999, whatever it may be, the police. There's codes you can use now, isn't there, when you call emergency services, that you can say specific words. Lots of shops have them where you can say a word. I know
in a pub, if you're under, I think it's more if you like meeting somebody in a pub and you don't really know them, but they say, ask for Angela. So you go to the bar and you say, does Angela work here? And they're supposed to understand that that means that you're in danger.
Yeah, there's lots of things you can do. And even if you phone 990, there's things you can press, isn't there, that they know that you're in a dangerous situation. So it's worth looking that up. And what we'll do is we'll find out what that is and we'll put a comment in the section below the video on YouTube. So
maybe any links that we can find as well, helpful links.
We'll post any links when we post this, once it's been edited. That's really important. And the last one, and I love this one because this is such a positive way to end a really depressing subject, hard subject, is promote empowerment, support them, in their choices throughout. Give them, let them know that they're capable of moving on, and that
remind them of all them good qualities that they've got that person might have chipped away at and made them feel that they're nothing. Tell them that they're amazing.
Yeah. And highlight all the things they've done in the past that are good and positive, and what they're capable of, their achievements, and just help give them power back, especially if it's a woman. Like, women should support each other. Everyone should support each other, but there's so much, as you go on social media, you see, I think women are the worst for knocking other women and being critical and judgmental. Don't be that woman. Support them and empower them and encourage.
Yeah. I don't understand how anyone the people do it online more because they're hiding behind the keyboard. But I don't understand what would make anybody go on a video of someone or a picture of someone and feel the need to be negative. I just don't get it.
Even if you think something, or you don't like an outfit or a hairstyle, you don't need to post it. It's your thought. Keep it private.
Exactly. You don't have to lie. You don't have to put something on if you don't feel that way. But come on.
Don't put anything on it. As I was
scroll past.
I was taught. My mother always taught me, if you've got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
That's what my mum used to say as well, and it's true.
Absolutely true.
But at the same time, remind women or men or whoever how wonderful they are as well. If you can be nice and you mean it, then do it. Do more of it.
What is that saying? If you can be anything in this world, be nice and be kind.
Yeah, because it's just not. There's just no reason not to.
You don't know what people are going through behind those doors.
And it's those small little comments. I'm on about the positive side now. A small little nice comment can mean the world.
And if someone's going through that abuse, or they might post something and they're getting, verbal abuse off the partners, or they're being belittled, if you then, and they don't look right, go on and say that, you're then enhancing, you're making that person feel like that what their partner's saying is justified, because other people think that, and that's not the case. You want to, be positive and let them say, actually, that's not true.
Yeah. Build people up, don't knock them down.
Definitely. And on that note, I think I've said my piece.
Yeah, definitely.
Another week done. Obviously, if you have any stories you'd like to share with us, please feel free to get in touch, comment, like and subscribe, like we said in the last one, and we'll continue to keep saying, it's by liking and subscribing that the more people will get to see this and the more people we can help.
Yeah. And any stories you'd like to share, get in touch as well.
Definitely, we're
We'd love
really,
to have you on.
really interested in hearing your stories. And in the next couple of weeks, what we'd really like to do is have a Q&A one where
Yeah.
you send in your questions, any questions you want answering, whether it's about us or anything in general. We'd love to, do a Q&A
Yeah.
and see how much you can take us out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
So until next time,
Yeah.
thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.